I
Okay, let me
anyway, let's
just scroll
start.
down just a
No, Jan's
little
up.
tiny
Jan is
bit.
leaving us. Jan, are you there?
I am. Sorry, Jeff. Well, I made a decision at the last minute when you pushed live. I just put the screen down. I think the lighting's a little better.
A little bit. Anyway, yeah,
Hello, everybody out there. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Jay. This is Jan and Jeff. A go. It means.
A go-go.
It means.
Now, I say that because I've noticed it's kind of, the French are really trendy with their language. And
Oh, yeah.
anybody that's learning it, that they love slang and, well, it's English, but they love inventing and they love being fantasy with their language. And I've noticed, yeah, recently, 2 or 3 times I would be, oh yes, a go-go. And I was looking on our Facebook page with all the yogurt.
Right, I saw that, the yogurt.
Yeah. Well, you know what they said? It's a yogurt a go-go.
Oh, okay.
And which is really kind of 60s. And you know what they say here, for anybody out there that's learning French and doesn't know this, is if somebody's, a whole group of people stuck in the 60s, kind of old hippies, we call them 68 stars.
Right, 68, right. 68.
68. Voilà. It's somebody from this. It's 1968 is when they had kind of the second revolution, the second French Revolution.
Oh, the third.
And right, they all people from 1968 that were rebellious. So it's so we've brought back a go-go. We can all be 68. Bring back the 60s.
Yeah, and there was a lot of strikes this week too. There was on Wednesday.
Yeah, I think it's really everybody around me is really kind of tired, and I think it has to do, well, down here we've got a lot of wind. It's cold wind, and that's kind of wearing on you. And then there's strikes. I mean, I had something, an administrative paper to do, and and there's a sign that they're closed. So yeah, it's kind of it's an odd week. A lot of people on strike.
Well,
how is it where you are?
No, there was nothing actually.
Oh, really?
The trains. The only thing though they have strikes are the trains that really affect us that we can tell is with the trains, but it's not any sort of the school. But the school, they don't really have not many people go on strike here at school. There was a couple years ago when my son was younger. Then it was a little bit, I don't know, maybe the different levels they don't go on strike so much. But it was interesting though that there's not a lot. But talking about my son, it was interesting. I got to put this up, and I have this somewhere. Where did I put it? To go to high school, he'll go to a technical school next year. We went to the open house. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. It's very interesting. They have the different stuff, and the problem is we walk in the door and the woman starts. She said, because I guess you have basically the way it works is you have a core curriculum like it does in America, I imagine, and then you have these elective classes.
Right.
There's 2 different types of elective. I guess there's 2 different elective tracks you can take, and there's one, I don't know, ITN, and the other one is BTC or whatever, something like that, right? So she goes, "Which one do you want?" And we're like, "What?"
We're here to find out what it's all about.
We don't want to have, but by the time we got out of there, we understood. It was understandable. We went in there, it was just because the French love acronyms. They love these acronyms, and so all these acronyms there, and it's a chart. It's really, you can understand because it has the subjects.
Right.
French mostly. He has languages he will take in the hours, and then below that there's these 2 classes he can take for an hour and a half. It's an hour and a half a week, and then below that are some more classes he could take. These are electives. And then below that, there's even more stuff if you wanted to do like extracurricular activities, even though it's not the same as in America.
And this is a high school.
This is a technical high school, Charles Ponce in Cluse. Built in 1949. It's a
Wow.
clock making school, actually. But we went in
It's
there.
what?
And the kids are doing stuff. They were making robots, and they were doing solar cells. They were creating like solar cells. And if the last year when because it is in France, it's basically 3 years for high school. Kind of like when I went to high school, it was only 3 years. Now I think it's 4 in America. In France, it's 3 years for high school. And the last year they have to work on a project. And it's kind of interesting that these kids were going to make a project. They were going to make a robot that would place a traffic a warning triangle for a car. It's dangerous if you break down on the motorway. You legally are supposed to put out a triangle, but it's very dangerous, of course. Anyway, so the kids are working on that. There's 5 of them. They have to work in a group, and everybody does their thing, so they have to learn. Everything's working as a team, so they do that. But what I liked about it was the kids said, even if we can't get it to necessarily work, we have to explain why it wouldn't work, and we can still pass. Which I thought, they don't have to actually have this thing, and they don't have to have that pressure, but they have to be able to explain why it wouldn't work. So
they have to understand the principles.
They have to understand the principles. That's the whole thing. They have to understand the principles, and they have the different. You can do programming. It's a little bit different. This is what I'm learning about. When I went to high school, when we went to high school, which we don't want to talk about when that was, but it's more specialized in France.
Yeah. Well, and I'm glad to hear that there's other options, because my son, he went through just the regular high school, which didn't really work for him. The higher levels, there's so many things that have not changed in the education system here. That it's, they have to memorize. It's all about memorizing things. And, there's a lot of, and the world has changed a bit. So I'm glad to hear that there's different opportunities that, for example, there wasn't when my son went to high school here, and there was nothing that really worked for him. And it sounds like they've gotten a little more creative, and they offer, like you say, there's more electives. Obviously, you've got to have the core education,
curriculum,
English, writing, and history, and all of that. But it's how it's taught also sometimes here that's just so rigid that that it doesn't really stick. But one thing that my son learned here, going to school here, that I never really developed in the States, and that was good study habits.
Yeah, they do have to. I was really, and there were kids there during the open house. They had professors, and the professors were kind of talking. But there were the kids. These couple kids. You could tell some of them were more at ease to talk than the other ones. Of course. They were explaining different stuff, and the professor was, this is stuff, and it's all they do like machine tooling too. They can do programming.
It's a technical. It's a technical school. They do have that in the States. I don't know how many they have now, but there is that alternative in the States. I don't think there's that many. I don't know, because I
don't know. It'd be interesting to know. And I know someone who actually teaches at a culinary high school where I live. There's actually 2 or 3, probably more.
Right. Somebody that knows what somebody knows what they want to do, then maybe there's different opportunities out there.
That's the only problem kind of with France. If you know what you want to do, but the people the teachers were talking, they were saying it's not really a big problem. You can, the first year actually, it sounds like you kind of discover things, and the third year, the 2 last years, that's when you kind of focus in on what you want to do.
Right. By then you know. Yeah. Well, one thing I can tell people now that my son has been through the system, both and there on and off. He did his lower classes in the States and his higher classes here, let's just put it that way. But when he went to go back to school in the States, they wouldn't accept any of his degree here.
Wow.
He had to redo a lot of the core classes he had to redo at a junior college. But I say chapeau to him, because it took a lot of tenacity to stick with. He put himself through 4-year college, and it's a good thing he did have good study habits, but he had to retake all of the basics.
Oh, God.
And, you know, I mean, and he went and saw counselor after counselor, and, you know, with this diploma and that. And so it's not easy, just so people know out there that, you know, when kids go between France and the US, find out ahead of time what's going to work, depending on where they want to be later on in life, because it doesn't, what he had done here would not transfer to the States.
Yeah, mine too, when I came over. Yeah, when I came over, I had the same issue too. So
yeah. So and it doesn't make it easy. It's you know, my son finally, you know, he's a bit older and finally finished, you know, a 4-year degree, but it took him so long to get the basics down and working, you know, or redo all the basics. Basically, had to redo high school almost. Yeah. Which, you know, anyway. Like I say, chapeau to him, because it was tenacity. So anyway, yeah, I think with that we can do a go-go. It's time to eat.
All right, Jan.
And so we will see you next week.
Yeah, we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Allez, ciao, ciao. Bye.